Liminal Wisdoms. Story time. If you are seeing this message, you are receiving a divine communication at the executive frequency of spiritual ordinance. Every decent and good soul is invited, and minors are encouraged to experience with their parents. Discernment is needed to ascertain whether a puzzle piece of information pertains to an energy, concept, environment, yourself, or someone else. Today, I will share with you a story that demonstrates how to respect the personalities of children and celebrate their happiness. If this transmission blesses you, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. The Dynasty of Zion. The wind, a restless spirit, whispered through the boughs of the ancient evergreen. It stood, a solitary sentinel, on a rise overlooking the small village of Oakhaven. For generations, the villagers had admired its verdant strength, a symbol of enduring life. Yet, few knew its true struggle. This evergreen, like all things, was susceptible to the insidious creep of neglect. Its roots, lacking the deep, consistent watering it craved, had become shallow, making it vulnerable. In Oakhaven lived Alara, a young girl with eyes as bright as the first frost. She was a whirlwind of boundless energy, her laughter the sweetest melody in the village. Alara dreamt of becoming a myth-maker, a storyteller who could weave magic into words, and she spent hours under the evergreen, scribbling her fantastical tales in a worn leather-bound notebook. But there was also Finn, a boy with a heart as brittle as dry leaves. Finn envied Alara's joy, her vibrant spirit that drew others to her like bees to honey. "Why is she always so happy?" he would grumble. "What has she ever done to deserve it?" His jealousy became a heavy cloak, pulling him down, blinding him to his own potential. He saw Alara's happiness as a personal affront, forgetting that jealousy doesn't open doors, it closes them. Alara, however, remained oblivious to Finn's negativity. She was too busy embracing her inner light, knowing that the greatest love is self-love. She found that each story she wrote felt like another step towards her dream, a tangible reminder that a dream you have will come true. And through it all, she understood that the most wasted of days is one without laughter. She didn't let Finn's spite dim her light. Instead, she embraced the words of Jesus, turning the other cheek. "Blessed are ye, when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely, for my sake." One day, Alara noticed something wasn't right with the evergreen. Its needles, once a vibrant green, were turning a sickly yellow-brown. An old woman of the village, known for her quiet wisdom, confirmed her fears. "Like us, my child," she said, "even the evergreen requires proper care. Without nurture, it will wither." Alara recalled the words from the old liminal wisdoms. Contrary to popular myth, the evergreen tree does not remain verdant and vibrant forever. Without a proper foundation and the nurture of nature, the tree will become diseased and wither away until all that is left is a brown husk of potential. This resonated deeply, not only for her love of the evergreen, but for her compassion for humanity. Alara, with a spirit as untamed as the wind, knew what had to be done. Remembering how her own grandmother would gently tend to her garden, Alara carefully began to prune the dead branches of the evergreen. She then dug a small trench away from the base, encouraging water to reach the tree's deeper roots, and with it she poured all of her love, because her grandma had always taught her, "Do what is true to your soul." It was hard work, her muscles aching, but she refused to stop. She knew that life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. And the image of the once proud tree dying drove her on. Meanwhile, Finn, fueled by his resentment, watched Alara from afar. He saw her struggles under the weight of the heavy branches, saw the sweat on her brow, and for the first time, he didn't feel smug. He felt ashamed. He remembered also the old verse, "He that walketh uprightly and worketh righteousness, and speaketh the truth in his heart. He that backbiteth not with his tongue, nor doeth evil to his neighbor, nor taketh up a reproach against his neighbor. He swallowed hard, his heart beginning to shift. It was then he began to notice a woman with a large, swollen belly who would come to the tree whenever she could. He had never realized she was near her time. She would always whisper words of encouragement. Strong, healthy, good contractions will guide my baby into this world. He was confused how she could be so relaxed at such a time, but she had once told him that, "My life has meaning. What I do has meaning. My actions are meaningful and inspiring." She had no fear of what was to come, for she was one of those who lived deeply, and people living deeply have no fear of death. Finn had never considered this until now, but his heart began to stir. He had always believed that thinking about death was morbid. He now understood that thinking and talking about death need not be morbid. They may be quite the opposite. Ignorance and fear of death overshadow life, while knowing and accepting death erases this shadow. Over the next few weeks, something began to change within Finn. He started to join Alara not to compete, but to help. He cleared away leaves and loosened the soil, learning to see the evergreen not just as a tree, but as a life needing care. He began to see that it needed a proper foundation, and that he, too, had allowed his own foundation to crumble. The act of working together brought them closer. He still often felt the pang of jealousy, but he was learning to not act upon it. He realized, we don't truly understand the weight of decision fatigue until we start eliminating it. That's why decluttering feels so good. He was beginning to declutter his negative feelings and replace them with positive ones. And slowly, surely, the evergreen began to heal. Its needles regained their vibrant green, its boughs lifted towards the sun. As the tree healed, so too did Finn's heart. He found laughter and joy in helping, discovering his own hidden talents. He helped Alara craft stories, realizing that she saw him for who he was on the inside, and he finally began to see himself through her eyes. The final step was the work of the midwife. She had told the expectant mother, "I will oversee the delivery." Finn was shocked by this medical term. Oversee, oversown, he kept saying to himself, as he finally understood what it meant to help something to heal. As the evergreen had healed from the outside in, he too healed from the inside out. One beautiful spring morning under the now thriving evergreen, Alara completed her newest story. It was about a young boy who, through kindness and hard work, had learned that joy isn't something to be envied, but something to be created. And in that moment, as they shared their laughter, Alara and Finn both knew that they had both healed something broken, and had both learned that true happiness was not a gift, but a choice. The village celebrated their friendship, knowing that the evergreen tree was testament to their growth. They finally understood that joy was abundant, and there was more than enough for everyone.